Welcome back to another episode of the Course Creation Incubator. I'm Gina Onativia, your course coach, digital strategist, and launch bulldog. I'm feeling like a proud mama right now. The spring class of my 6-week accelerators officially graduated, and they're now launching or planning their course launches. And my 7-year-old Tristan, he's crushing it at tennis camp, if I could brag for a minute. He's taken on the older kids, and coach wants him to graduate to the next level. And if you're feeling like I'm feeling right now, you're excited that stuff is opening back up, yet still looking for time to get your online course done. It's a balance, right? And I thought it's the perfect time for us to look ahead a few months to launching. So this episode officially kicks off my launch series, where we're taking a trip away from course creation land just for a few episodes into really setting yourself up for success with your course launches. Now, I say the word launch, and for some of you, fear automatically comes up. I know this because every time I start with a new accelerator group, I love to ask the question, what comes up for you when you hear the word launch? Overwhelm, fear, stuck, in over my head. This is what I see. This is what I hear. And as a result of those fears and these other feelings, I've seen students just stop. Or put out a whisper, like I talked about in the course campaign workshop back in episode 23, where you send a small, quiet email or a couple of Instagram posts, and that's it. Today and over the next few weeks, I want to take the intimidation out of launching. Because launching doesn't have to be scary or complex. You and I can break it down together. I've been planning launches for myself and for clients for years now, and I've come up with a process to keep it simple. Today, I want to talk through 3 questions I always ask when I'm planning my own promotions or ones for clients. These 3 questions actually get me into launch mode so I can start warming up. It's like getting in shape for a race. For me, I've kind of got to ease into it, then get my game face on. And before we get any further, when I say launch, let's define that. I mean you putting together a promotion to sell your course. It could be small, more grassroots. It could be bigger with a challenge or a webinar. Whatever it looks like for you, you have multiple tactics that roll into a strategy to get your course sold. Now, when you're planning your launch, you might have a tendency to just dive right into the details. Meaning, what are the metrics? How are you going to sell? What are the different tactics? And I do walk through those as part of the campaign workshop that I mentioned, and I definitely want you to have those details. But before you dive into those details, I want you to think about 3 questions to ask yourself to set you up for success. Because I think sometimes we don't take the time to ask these kind of questions as a thoughtful run-up to a campaign. And trust me, these questions I ask every single launch, especially when I'm planning with my core team and my partner in campaigns, Megan O'Leary, who you know from our nurture writing episode. And they save us so much time and trouble in the long run. And I've just learned over the years that these 3 questions need to be asked, and there's a certain process that should be followed in order to see results and see success. And by the way, if you've been wondering how to really plan your launch and promote so you're not so stressed out and overwhelmed, I'm debuting my Launch Architect program this summer. It's an 8-week group coaching program and accountability group where we work on one outcome: to get your course launched by the fall. You also get a toolkit and some fun bonuses. If you want to work with me this summer and into the fall to figure out the organized and confident way to launch, check out more about the Architect. I'll have that in the show notes. Okay, let's get started with question number 1. What have I done for my students lately? And how do I nurture them now? Yeah, right. I snuck in 2 questions there. It's a 2-parter. Let's take part 1 first. What have I done for my students lately? This is a great question because you got to have a gut check here. Have you been emailing your list week to week? Have you been consistently sending out content, or have you gone dark for a little bit? Maybe you've gone a little quiet, or maybe you're sending out month to month. I've been working with some amazing book authors lately, and we always check in and figure out what is the status of your email list. How have you been nurturing your people? You really want to take a pulse on this because if you've taken a break, you want to start nurturing them again. and you want to get back in touch with them before you start doing your promo. You're not just selling them cold. You've got to warm them up. For example, I'm working with a client on a campaign right now to see how many people plan to attend their event in the fall. And we realized we haven't touched base with this certain segment about this event in about a year and a half. So it's our job to reassociate them to the power of this event, nurture them, talk to them about it, reintroduce them to the benefits of why they need to attend. That's on us to reconnect with them. So to do that, we're going to do a series of videos. You could do videos. You could do thought leadership to get in touch with them. And if you haven't been consistent, don't worry about it. Now's the time to get consistent as part of your run-up. Think about different content you could do, videos, blog series, email them with links to stuff that might help them. You want to add value here and you want to nurture them now. Just think about it. You want to warm someone up because think about that friend that reaches out to you when they need something. You never hear from them until they need something from you. You don't want to be that friend. You want to be that friend who's been delivering value week to week. And then when you're ready to sell, they're waiting. They're just waiting for you to sell something and take the next step with you. But in order to do that, you need to nurture them now. All right, I think I've driven this point home. And by the way, you'll want this content to relate to your actual promotion. Now, you'll want this content to relate to your actual promotion. That may seem obvious, but I've also seen some misguided course creators recycle some old content they had on hand rather than creating content that is a great run-up to your launch. Also think about how you can use social media more effectively as a lead-up to your launch. Social is actually a great way to have a conversation with your potential students. It was created for engagement and connection. So ask questions. Find out what your students are really struggling with. Specifically address their fears or obstacles to joining your course. Give them the details they need and help them get excited. On to the second question. How are my potential students feeling right now? How have they been feeling? You can use social to help you answer these questions, right? Like we already mentioned. It's also the perfect opportunity to get a survey in or a poll to get the pulse of where your potential students are. When I plan out launches, for example, for clients or for myself, we'll send out a one-question survey that just says, what's the biggest challenge around X for you right now? And we'll leave it open-ended so they can put whatever response in there. Now, why are we doing that? So we can get a sense of where our students are. How are they feeling? What do they really need to get across the finish line? And a gut check, right? Am I planning something that's going to get them there based on the challenges they're facing? Another reason I do that is because so much changes today in the environment, and I want to take those things into consideration. Their mindset might not be around this or that, and I want to know where their heads are and what they're really interested in. So that one question survey goes a long way. Now, I know sometimes surveys don't get the greatest response, especially if you're just starting out and you have a smaller audience that's not as engaged. Here's another tactic that I like to do. I like to reach out to 5 of my grads and say, hey, what are you thinking right now? How are you feeling? If you were just starting out and starting to create your course, where would your head be right now? And then I can get that kind of information from them as well. Because at that point, I want to have a pulse, right? Like I mentioned. So I can plan accordingly based on their answers, based on some answers from the survey or poll. I want to get information from a number of sources so I know how my potential student is feeling, so I can plan accordingly. Which gets us to the third and final question. Where do I need to take them to get them ready to commit? This is in terms of your lead magnets and your selling system. Is your freebie, your lead magnet, getting your potential students to where they need to go? Is it setting them up for success? I was just talking to my friend Sal, who's also been on the podcast, about putting your list building on automation. Sal is a brilliant marketer. I was talking to her about her new email marketing packages and how she plans to do a promotion around that. And I said to her, well, do you have a freebie that lines up with this? What does she need to create in order for her students or potential clients to convert to this email marketing packages? Is it hacks to do their email marketing? Is it what's working now, what's not working? What does she need to provide for them? Or maybe it's case studies of other students or clients she's helped with email marketing so she can show results in advance. So Sal knows she's got to create that in order to get them ready to commit. And then on the flip side of that, your freebie, you also want to talk about your selling system, which I talked about in that episode 23. What is going to take them to the other side with you? What kind of way to sell? Webinars, challenges, videos? First ask yourself, where do I need to take them? Then where do they need to go? So for Sal, going back to that example, her clients or potential clients may need to have an awareness that their email marketing could be doing better. Because her clients could be thinking, well, I'm doing pretty good. But through those case studies, for example, Sal shows them what's possible, what they could be doing, the results they could be getting. So think about where you want to take someone in order for them to eventually buy from you. And then what does that path look like? One final note here, I don't want you to get hung up on this process. Don't get caught up on the perfect freebie or feeling the need to set something up perfectly before you launch. Think about what you can actually commit to and then go. When I'm planning out a launch, inevitably I leave stuff on the cutting room floor. I plan maybe 20% too many tactics, and I leave those behind. So really be thoughtful about what you can get done, what you can commit to, and what you can help get leverage with if you have a small team. So these are the 3 questions that are going to shape your campaign overall. What have you done for them lately? 2, how are they feeling today? And 3, where do you need to take them? So hopefully these help you plan out your promotion. And then the next step after this is obviously planning out your promotion and going into the details of that planning process. And if you're serious about really launching with confidence and without the stress, I'd love for you to join me for the Launch Architect. You could check out more details in the show notes. I'll see you next week. Please rate and review this episode, especially if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe. Until next week, go create, be you and be brilliant, and get it done.